Sorry. I got it. Oh! Ask Homesteady today, special edition, behind the curtain.
The marriage edition.
This is Ask Homesteady, all about our marriage.
Which is kind of cool because that means we can't answer any of the questions wrong. You may be able to answer some questions wrong. What would I have changed about our wedding day?
What do I find most attractive about Kay? And what is the most memorable moment of our marriage? We're going to answer those questions and a whole lot more questions about our marriage in today's 10th anniversary version of Ask Homesteady. This is Ask Homesteady. It's the weekly show where we answer your questions that you've left here on the channel. If you want to get a question answered, it's very simple. All you have to do,
Hashtag it Ask Homesteady so we can find it.
all one word.
All one word, hashtag Ask Homesteady. This will not be so homesteading related today because we celebrated our 10th year anniversary this week. And so we kind of left it open to the audience to ask us some questions about our marriage. And that's what we're going to be answering today.
Yeah, so if you want a homesteading video, just go look at an old video or
next
tomorrow.
week it'll be back to the usual homesteading Q&As.
But we've been married for 10 years as of November 15th, and we thought it'd be fun to kind of take a little and do marriage stuff. So today, a ton of questions about our marriage. Let's dive in with the first one. And I thought this was a fun one to get started on. Faith and Family First asks, I used to make a side dish that I didn't know my husband didn't like because he always ate it, and finally he told me after 11 years, look, I'm sorry, it's not how you cook it, it's just I don't like this.
So
Has
funny.
this ever happened to y'all before? Good man, 11 years.
Listen, my mom this year has been going through this with my dad where all of a
How
sudden...
many years of marriage? 30?
35, no, almost 40.
No.
Yeah.
Wow.
They were married in 79.
Oh man.
Almost 40 years of marriage. This year she's found out there's like 4 or 5 things that he does not like, and she's made them for him regularly. So it's not just for like
Family
new
First,
marriages. What don't you like?
There has been something recently
Do you remember what it is?
that you made that I just... So I am not picky.
No.
Kay's
not
an
at all.
incredible baker. She's a
And cook?
good cook.
I don't have the passion for cooking that I do for baking, and it shows.
Yes, her passion for baking is very, very powerful. Anything that
I've made and you were finally like, no, I just don't like that.
I was thinking like ribs, but
Oh.
I like ribs. You just
It's just
don't
because
make them
I
good.
don't make them very well.
And I finally was able to just say like, okay, babe, stop making ribs. And then her mom made ribs, and they were
Delicious.
really good.
So I don't need to know how to make ribs.
Send them to grandma. I can't think of anything that you knew you weren't happy with your ribs either.
Well, Austin is very easy to tell when he tries.
This is true.
It's just like his face shows all his emotions, so you can tell like if he likes something, he really likes it. If he doesn't like something, I can tell.
Yeah, there's no hiding my feelings behind the meal.
No.
I think I've done a good job though at not, I've never like compared you or said like, no, this isn't good. I'm not very picky,
No.
but Kay knows when it's not my favorite. I wouldn't be able to pull off an 11-year long game, long con. Good on your husband though, the long con. It's a mouthful. Kathy and a few other people wanted to know, how old were you when you got married? I was 21.
I was 24.
Cougar.
So yeah, barely.
Maria asks 2 questions. She wants to know, we often end up having similar traits in our relationships as those that raised us. How is your marriage most like your parents or Kay's parents? So I don't think it's which is it more like. I think it's how is it like.
How is
them.
it similar to my
So
parents
you know
and
how your
parents?
parents' marriage was growing up, and I know how mine was. So we should answer it like that. In mine.
I can think of actually for both of our, at least quickly, I can think of my mom was a stay-at-home mom, and my dad worked. So my mom did the cleaning, the cooking, raising the kids, and his mom was pretty much the same way.
Yep.
So in that way, we're similar to both sets of our parents. I stay home, I watch the kids.
Both moms, give them full cred, also were involved with the family business,
Yes.
as you are.
See?
Yeah, roped you in, pulled you into the family business.
Our dads both have their own business.
Yeah, both entrepreneur families, and both very successful businesses they've run. So in those ways, kind of the traditional sense,
Yeah.
it's kind of fit like that.
As far as like, Austin and I are so different from my parents, and we're so different from his parents, that other than that, I don't know if I see many similarities.
I feel like I feel like when parents do a good job, you get good traits of theirs, and maybe can then progress on the other traits. I don't like to say bad traits. We both have great parents. But I feel like...
My mom's got more patience than I do.
Yeah, they definitely have some... Our dads are way handier than me.
That's true.
But
the moms are both better cooks than me. So.
As a relationship, I think our relationship is different than our parents.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
In good ways.
Yeah, in good ways. So, but our parents are great. Our parents are going to watch this. So. We love our parents. We do love our parents. All right, next question. Or Maria actually asked another question, which I like. I really like this one. If you could do anything different about your wedding day, what would it be? So this one is great because there's a ton we would do different.
Yes.
And a lot of it is my fault.
I think it's the people we were then. We've changed so much.
Yeah.
When you're, young in your 20s, you want to you want to invite everybody because you don't want anybody's feelings to be hurt.
Yeah, you're way too sensitive about that.
We ended up having a very large number at our wedding, about 200.
Yep.
It was too many. For me, I would have a much smaller wedding, much smaller venue. And
Simpler?
Yeah, simpler. I was talking the other day with us, maybe I just would have done like cocktails and hors d'oeuvres, desserts, something like that, instead of like a meal and dancing and everything.
Yeah, it would have been just simpler, and I think the venue, so my mistake was, and I talked about this in our video on Thursday, I waited too long to propose for the wedding that we wanted. At the time, we both wanted a tent wedding outside, and just like a simple tent, a roof.
So I wanted a picnic wedding. I didn't even care for a tent. I wanted to go to a park where there were picnic tables, have it be potluck, and kind of do it super simple like that.
But not so great on November 15th.
No.
Not as we can, this November it's snowy, raining.
Yes.
And my dad is like the weather guy. He's like super into weather. He snowplows for a living, so he's really in tune with weather patterns.
He was like, November 15th?
It's gonna snow, it's gonna rain. And sure enough,
It was cold and rainy.
it was cold and rainy. If we
Yeah.
had done it outside, Dad would have got
The last
laugh, which would have been super mean. Dad, why would you laugh at us at our sad wedding?
So what would you have done differently?
About the wedding, pretty much same things. Less people. We had way too many people, and I think again we were worried about not hurting feelings, but you shouldn't be. It's your wedding day.
Yeah.
It's about who you hold dearest, and we have over the years. You can see this pattern in our baby showers. Our first baby showers were huge and had lots of people for the similar reasons, and our last baby shower was just our family.
Yeah, we've gotten smaller.
And right before that, it was a baby shower of like our 10 closest, our parents, our siblings, and a couple sets of friends.
Yeah.
So I think our wedding would just be simpler, smaller, more intimate, and the venue would be simpler and smaller.
We did do something fun after our wedding, which I liked. We went and did kind of like an after party at a bowling alley. So
Glow bowling.
So with a smaller group than the wedding, which still probably ended up being like 80 people.
It was still pretty
still
big,
a big
yeah.
group, but we all went glow bowling after.
That was fun.
So we could spend a little extra time with our closest friends.
People.
Yeah.
But yeah, I
was
think
just too
shrinking
big,
it.
yeah.
Yep, shrinking it down, keeping it simple. And I think without like telling our kids what to do, I would try it over the next years. Just get that point across, like simple. Make it about that core.
Yeah, have a little more one-on-one time with the people who are really close to you and will be close to you.
I feel like our families were concerned about, or maybe my family. I have a big Latin family, and they're always concerned about not making parts of that family sad. But nobody's that sad if they don't have to go to a wedding, right? Like,
no.
when you're the
No.
invited ones, you're like, oh, good, I don't have to go.
Okay, we'll send a
I
card.
don't even have to send a gift.
Yeah.
Sweet. One more chatty Kathy.
Shall I read this for you since
Sure.
it's a question to
It's a
you?
question just to me.
What is the single most attractive personality trait to you about your wife? And what has been the most surprising fulfillment of being her husband? So
Okay.
I'm off the hook for this one. It's just
And
an
it's just
Austin question.
personality. Attractive trait. Be more fun, but we'll go with personality.
Yeah.
I'm a passionate person. I feel hard and strong about a lot of things, and there's a joke in our relationship that I feel stronger about things that are like hiccups. I hate the hiccups.
Like everybody.
Everyone doesn't like hiccups, but I hate them. I loathe hiccups. I feel very strongly about the hiccups. You probably don't feel so strongly about
Maybe
hiccups.
they do.
No, they don't. They couldn't possibly. And so when I was going through, those young years where you're seeing different people as prospective mates, like, oh, that girl, what's she like? That girl, what's she like? I didn't see a lot of driven passion there were a lot of cute girls, but I didn't see that passion and that drive that matched me until I met Kay. And I saw it pretty quick with her. When she's got her eye on something, and at the time it was me, she was an unstoppable force. She's a powerful woman. And I saw that kind of passion, and I was like, we could make beautiful music together. Literally, because that was our first, which we'll get to in a little bit. We made music together.
That's right.
Music, piano. So I think that still to this day, it's life changes when you have kids and a more domestic life. But still, I see with you just a drive, a passion. When you're something you're passionate about, you just are this unstoppable force. And I'm a very passionate person, but I think you even have a more powerful drive than me about the things that you invest that into. I think which is fewer than I invest my passion into everything. How I feel about the hiccups, I spend passion on. But you apply it really thick in a few places. And that has always been something that drew me to you.
Has that been the most surprising fulfillment of being my husband?
The most surprising fulfillment, what does that mean? What have I
maybe surprised you most about being my husband?
Surprising fulfillment. What have I enjoyed the most, or what have I gotten out of it the most?
Yes.
I don't know. Surprising. I knew we were going to be... Well, I don't know. I was kind of funny when we were getting ready, before I asked her to marry me, I kept saying things like, it could be great or it could be awful.
Yes.
But I knew you were the right one for me. It has not been surprising that we've had a good marriage, that we're a good fit. Okay, I got it. We were not planning on having kids. And surprising was starting a family. It was not something I expected to see. I did not expect to see Kay as a mother. And that has been definitely one of the most surprising fulfillments, seeing you as a mother. You're an incredible mother. And you're just an incredible mother. And that it doesn't surprise me. Of course you'd be a good mother, but we weren't planning it. So it has been a surprising fulfillment seeing you with our babies, the way you care for them, the time you invest in them. Nothing is more important to her than her babies. And yeah, that's been awesome.
Not what an incredible cook I am.
No, that has not been a surprising fulfillment. But a great baker. That was good. But I knew you were a great baker, so.
Say who it's from.
Yeah, I'll say.
That'll explain
The question a little bit
that.
better. So this question is from Doria, or as we call her, lovingly Dory. A little background on Dory. She talks about her husband Hav. So Hav was in my wedding. Hav and Dory, they're like my aunt and uncle. Technically, they're second cousins.
Yeah.
But they got, what do they got, 10 years on us?
Yeah, they're not.
Maybe
much
a little,
older.
not much older
They
than
look
us.
about our age.
But growing up, when I was like 10, they were a married couple in my family. Dory is my mom's cousin, and Hav is her husband. And they were such an important part of our dating. They were a neutral ground, because as everyone who's dated knows, both sides of
your families
your parents are
partial,
polarized.
Yeah.
They all want what's best for their kid, not necessarily the other one in the relationship. So Kay's parents were very protective and on Team K. My parents were very protective and on Team Aust. But Javi and Dory,
They loved both of us.
they loved both of us. And so they were a great neutral ground when there were tough times.
And we were drawn to them. We had broken up at the beginning of the relationship because we did that a few times.
We broke up probably twice?
3 times maybe.
3?
Yeah.
Oof. Well, the one was like we decided not to date, and then we...
Well, so we had broken up and I was driving and I had, texted Dory, can I come by? Yeah, you can come by. And I remember showing up at the door, knocking, and Javi answered the door, and I just cried, and he gave me a big hug. And I was sitting on the couch talking, and we heard a knock on the door, and he went to answer it, and it was Austin. And he didn't know I was there. I didn't know he was coming there, but we both just were drawn there.
Yeah.
So they're probably a big reason we ended up getting back together.
Yeah, for sure. We didn't break up because we thought we weren't right. It was just, we were both, as we talked about our age, we were both younger, and mostly it was me not feeling like I was ready to progress further than we had. So they provided this neutral ground. They both loved us. They were both very supportive, and they were a family that we looked at as an example. They have a great marriage. They have
They're
great kids.
parents, yeah.
So their kids I look to as my cousins. They are my cousins. They're just great kids. So they were an example of like where we wanted to be, and without actually having planned having kids, but just their relationship and everything. So with that history, should we read Dory's question?
Yeah, now read Dory's question.
Okay, so let's get into the question.
So Dory's become a fan, and we love having her watch.
We moved away. We lived like 10
minutes away
from them. And since moving out of Connecticut now, we haven't seen them. It's been months, but they watch the video. Dory watches our videos now. She says, it's been so nice to see, you want to read it?
Sure.
You read it.
It's been so nice to see you grow together and build a beautiful family. One thing that Hav and I found worked is since the kids were little, we made sure to have quiet time alone every day. Our quiet time was when he came home from work. We would have coffee together and the kids could not interrupt unless an emergency. This way we could have important conversations we needed to have without little ears around. This September made 26 years being married to a man I love so deeply. Ask Homesteady, since you are always around the home, which is good, sometimes Dory, when do you and Kay find time to be alone and talk?
I remember their anniversary parties. 26 years now.
Do you remember their wedding?
26 years? No, I don't. But I think they had like something, I maybe vaguely remember their wedding. Things around it. So good question. Alone time, just us, is very important to us daily, for sure. and we are home all day, both of us with the kids, everybody. So we do something very similar every morning before the kids wake up, and it's gotten to be a bit of a race because they wake up earlier and earlier as they get older.
Yeah.
But we have coffee together first thing excuse me. First thing in the morning, we have coffee together.
And that's sacred time.
And we've let the kids know they're not to interrupt that.
You guys can serve yourself some breakfast, but don't ask us for anything, and you have to be quiet.
And in this apartment space here, it's harder to actually have the alone time, and like Dory mentioned, the important conversations that you need to have. We're not able here to get complete, like, alone. Yeah, I'm trying to turn this TV off. TV's distracting me. Okay. We're not able to get absolute quiet alone time for long. But back at Squash Hollow, the kids were to be in their rooms while we had our coffee.
Yeah.
So that we could have those important quiet conversations.
Yeah. So we'll do that kind of here. They'll go to the playroom, and we're looking forward to being in the bigger house so they have rooms again that they can go play in quietly.
And we'll have our coffee nook where we can have our quiet conversations. I think that's so important, and sadly I think when you work a 9 to 5 and you have to get the kids to school, kind of the more, it's harder, but Javi and Dory have shown, I mean, they do it when Javi comes home from work. So it is harder if you have like a 9 to 5 and in public school to work around, but they did it. So.
I gotta tell you, Dory, that's always, when Austin comes home, if he has been out doing something, he'll come home, and you know the kids, they're just loud, right? Austin comes home and he's like, now I know why Javi said when he came home, he just needed a little bit of quiet.
I remembered that. I remembered the rule was quiet when Jav came home, and it's important.
So quiet for everybody once in a while.
So we miss you guys. Come visit. Super fan Candace, she says, okay, you asked for it.
She's asked the question a lot of people have been asking, and because it's Candace, we'll answer it.
She says, are you guys going to have any more kids? Kendra is a great mom, so you might as well. I'm not really sure if that counts as a marriage question. Yeah, I think
it's under the umbrella, right?
Because kids and marriage, they affect that whole union pretty big. I was not...
You were done at 4.
I was done at probably 3. But not like really done at 3.
No, because obviously we have 4 now.
Yeah.
So.
But I was already feeling like...
Tired.
3 is a good number. Oh, 4 is a good number.
4 is real good.
Yeah, so for me, I probably would have said no to this not too long ago.
Now you're more on the fence about it, I think.
It's a discussion that
topic under discussion.
Yes, it's something we've been...
Especially because the kids are pushing so hard for another baby, and that gets me. I think like, oh, okay.
Our lifestyle is very, it's very different than when we started having kids. I used to work a 9 to 5 away from home. And now here I am, and here Kay is, and we're together all day.
I don't think I would consider a 5th if Austin was working an outside job. Because so much goes into being pregnant and having a baby that
having what we have.
I don't know if I could do it with him being away.
So
it's under discussion.
I guess you'll just have to
keep watching.
Keep watching. Don't go anywhere and see what happens.
Just know the kids are laying it on pretty thick at night. Daddy.
Please, Daddy.
Please, Daddy. Except our 4-year-old who wavers.
She's great. She's done a long time ago. She wants to bring her little brother back, wherever he came from. Return him.
I like it. I like
Asset
this question.
marketing. Read it.
I snore like a chainsaw wide open. My wife wears earplugs to bed. Ooh. What a good woman. Who is a noisy sleeper between the two of you? And they've been married 25 plus now. Up in Ithaca.
My family's from Ithaca.
Are they?
My grandfather's got... I don't know if he was in Ithaca.
Anyways, Austin's the loud sleeper.
When I'm actually sleeping.
So loud. especially if he's laying on his back. So if he starts snoring, he'll start snoring before I'm even asleep, so I have to kick him gently.
I don't always
gently.
snore though, right?
Most of the time.
When
right
I
now.
gain weight.
Well, so most.
So right now.
Or been like
or when
had
I've
a beer
had a beer, yeah.
So yeah, I'll kick him and he'll roll over and then it's okay.
I also am notorious.
Go ahead.
The cough.
Oh yeah, he's got this awful like acid reflux cough at night that just as he's falling asleep he starts coughing, which when the babies are little is infuriating because they'll just be getting to sleep and he'll cough and then they wake up and I'm like, fine, you take it.
She was warned. Accountant Mike told her, he's got this cough when he falls asleep. Cough. You're not gonna like it. And well,
it's I'm kind of used to it now, but I do not tolerate the snoring. Which is funny because my dad's a snorer and so is your dad.
Yeah,
they're like notorious snorers, so I can see.
There was a story when we were young. My sister went into the bedroom. My dad had been snow plowing all night, and he was now home during the day in the bedroom sleeping. And my mom had dumped a pile of laundry onto the bed. So he was like under the covers and under the laundry. My little sister, probably 3 or 4, walks into the bedroom and all of a sudden she heard him snoring and she comes screaming out of the bedroom, "Mommy, there's a monster!" So I got the monster snore.
Yeah, not quite that bad yet, but kudos to your wife for still sleeping with you if you snore that bad.
Her mom just goes to another room when it's bad.
If it's that bad, yeah. So Lisa is asking a question here, which we think we got a handle on. She's asking when we think about or when we look at our kids, how do we feel about each other? And how have they made us both better? Hope I got that right, Lisa. Go ahead, I read it. You answer.
Okay. I see a lot of Kay in, so there's the physical, right? Most of my kids' physical traits are Kay, I feel. And then there's the personality. And I see a lot of her personality, mostly in my oldest daughter. I see a lot of her personality, but then you see it in all of them. You see all different traits. Things like my son loves to bake, which is like his mom, and just different. They've taken bits of each of us.
Our oldest daughter likes to work in the barn.
Yeah, she's a little. She's like a mini Kay, and I find. So I feel this. I love all my children, but there is that unique, like when you see your mate in them, and I probably get that the most with my daughter because my oldest daughter, she's such a mini you that I get this. There's just this unique, like, oh look, there's my wife in little form, and it's very endearing.
I feel it's funny because it does the opposite for me. So I look at them, right? And my oldest son is so much like us in his personality. And the other ones, like you said, will have your traits. And I'll see it, I'll be like, oh, that's so much like your daddy. But I love my kids. I love them beyond anything in the world. And that makes me feel a little more tolerant towards you. And some of the things that might bother me about you.
Nice.
I feel like I can understand you a little more because, I carried them. Like I have them inside me, so I think that helps me understand you a little bit more. Looking at them with those eyes of love, I can look at you, those annoying things you might do with eyes of love.
Nice. Maybe let's have that fit then. Kristen wants to know, how long were you together before you got married? And are you having any more babies?
All
the
right.
question of the
we
the
did
show.
the babies one. We met in 2006 and we got married
like February of 2006.
February in 2006, and we got married in November of 2008. So we had known each other and been together almost 3 years by the time we got married.
Not been together for those first 6 months that we knew each other.
But it kind of started showing interest, I think.
Oh yeah.
You were a little flirty.
Was I?
Mm-hmm.
I think you were a little flirty. I was like, I'm good. Like together, I would put us in like June.
Oh, Yeah.
Well, you know, at that point we had kind of like
Yes.
locked on. So June of 06 to 07 to 08 would be 2 years. And I proposed in August. So it was 2 years and 3 months-ish, or 2 months, that I actually proposed. And then we got married in November. So all in all, about 2.5 years of togetherness.
Together.
And knowing each other
A little bit before that.
a little under 3 years. Yep. I like this question. Chris, happy anniversary, she says.
Thanks, Chris.
She liked our video, the video about our anniversary. She's been with her husband for 20 years. She knows that chemistry that hits you as a couple. She wants to know, what was the moment you actually realized you were in love with the other person beyond chemistry? So there's that fun chemistry in the beginning.
Yeah, that like exciting.
Yeah, but then when did you actually realize you loved that person?
That's funny because I always tell Austin I know that. I know that moment where for the first time in my life I said that I loved him. And I didn't even say it to him. He was like kind of waffling. You know, I wasn't sure what he was doing. And it was hard because I knew I liked him. And then I realized, like, I was driving down the road, I think away from you, wherever we had been, I was leaving. And I drove and I was just like, I love him. And I'm just going to accept that. And whatever happens, I know that I love him. That made it easier for me in some ways.
So this is part of the core of who we are personality-wise. Kay finds relief in making a decision. And I find relief in postponing a decision.
And considering all the options.
In playing it by ear.
In the potential.
So for her, she needed to make that decision and feel like, good. Now I know I love him. I can have some rest. Do you remember like how long into our relationship that was?
A few months.
A few months? Man, you're on top of things.
I'm a decisive person.
Okay, yes you are. I am not a decisive person. And this is funny for me. This happens a lot in my life and how I make decisions. I don't even know what I've decided until I know what I don't want to decide. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Once it becomes clear what I don't want, then it becomes more clear what I want. It's easier for me to figure out what I don't want. So with this, it took me a long time to say I loved you. She said I love you first.
Yes.
And we had this conversation where she's like, I love you. Do you love me?
I just made him say it.
Ooh, I'm super crazy about how we do this. It's so good. My feelings, grand.
He had to I love you.
But I had been in like a very high school relationship, and like a young stupid used the word love way too soon. And so I kind of coming out of that was like, whoa, dude, easy on the love, man. You were just like a teenager who liked a girl. So I think I was like overcompensating for that. But what moment did I actually realize that? I think, oh man, this is a hard one.
We had to take a long pause there for Austin to really evaluate his feelings for me.
To make sure I was ready to say these words. No. I think the first time I realized the gravity of my feelings for you was when we found out that there was something wrong. You had a seizure, and we rushed to the hospital. This is a question somebody asked too this week. How did we find out that you had epilepsy at the time? We didn't know that when we started dating. You had not had any seizures. So we'll tell that story in a minute, but the moment I think I first realized, I think I love her, was when she had gone into the hospital for having a seizure. She had not had any seizures before in life. Suddenly she's having seizures. Something was wrong. I was here meeting her parents for the very first time. And what was supposed to be just a long weekend turned into like a week-long stay in Pennsylvania because of medical procedures. Surgeries. And after that, I mean, like, I wasn't going to run home. Sorry, leave her in the hospital. I got to go back home. But then I went back home, and then I planned coming back not too long after. And I realized at that point, no matter what the situation was, I had no idea what the future was going to bring medically. I didn't know if you were, one of the doctors said this surgery could affect your ability to speak. You might not be able to speak when the surgeries were over. And that didn't scare me away. No matter what was going to come, I wasn't going anywhere. And I think at that moment I realized I feel very strongly for this woman. I still was a long way off from uttering the words love. And what finally got me to really know I loved her beyond any doubt was when she finally gave me an ultimatum.
Oh man, that took so long. Like you really didn't even know.
Somewhere in that time I crossed over the threshold. When you made me say it, it was not a lie. I knew I could say that I loved you. But as things progressed further in our relationship, I still was dragging my feet because it wasn't her ever. It was just getting married that was scaring me. And so...
With good reason.
Yeah.
You were young.
I was young. I was very young, and I didn't want to make a poor decision because I was a young guy. And I didn't. I made an awesome decision. But I think I knew I loved you when you got brain surgery.
See, ladies?
I just took
That's all you
forever
gotta
to
do.
say it. Yeah.
Little brain surgery.
Just get on that OR and...
Wham bam.
Yep. Yeah. Sycamore Farms. What is your most memorable moment in the past 10 years to many happy years to come? So in the last 10 years of being married to me, what is your most memorable moment?
Okay, ready? When I told you we were pregnant.
Oh, that's a very good one.
With the first one.
Yeah. Go on.
You want me to tell more about it?
Of course, it's the
Your
most memorable
reaction?
moment. Go ahead. Tell them how you remember it.
I remember it because he cried.
Like a baby.
He just cried.
Not like tears of joy that my life changing.
like-
More like scared.
Oh no, yeah, what are we gonna do? And he just cried.
Oh man. Tell him. That's it? I just
Yeah,
cried
that's-
like a baby?
Well, yeah, but that was a moment, like, we changed. Our marriage changed, and our life forever after that changed.
Yes.
Okay, so.
I had a hard time with this one. Most memorable moment. Unfortunately, I think the more memorable moments in my head are what I would call more
Like catastrophic things.
scary stuff, because they seem to just etch in there. But one that I could look back on and say is the most memorable, and looking back is no longer scary, was when we had a baby in our van driving to the hospital. Because I think of all the stories I go back and tell, I can feel what it was like driving down the highway at twice the legal speed, with my wife in the back telling me her water just broke, the midwife on the phone saying, "Oh, well, you better get here fast."
You're like, no kidding.
Oh man, and I remember, so this is so memorable. I can remember our third daughter. She was born in the van.
Our second daughter, our third child.
Sorry, our third child, our second daughter, was born in the back of our Toyota Sienna. I remember, I can just relive this 2 minutes of my life so well. From the time your water broke to we were driving down in Connecticut, Route 7, past Stu Leonard's, getting onto 84. We were at a normal speed, about what, 10 minutes away from the hospital?
Yeah.
At our speed, we were like 3 minutes away from the hospital. But in those 3 minutes, it went from her water breaking. I flew off the highway, took a hard turn, and I heard what I thought was her like yelling because she was in pain, because I had kind of like taken a sharp turn and she bumped against the side of the van. But what really was happening is there was a baby crowning at that moment. And she didn't tell me. She said my water broke, and that was the last thing she said. And the next thing I heard from another being in that vehicle was crying. And I was driving, if you know Danbury, Connecticut, to the Danbury Hospital, driving down that road.
By Burlington Coat Factory.
Right past Burlington Coat Factory, past Abatech High School. And I was saying, don't push, babe, don't push. And all of a sudden I heard... and I just went, don't push. And she said, the baby's already here. And I went, don't
Faster.
push.
He never stopped. He never stopped.
And that memory
He did not. He saw nothing of that birth.
Clear as day.
He was driving the whole time.
My pulse quickens when I think about that story. That, I think, for me is the most memorable moment. I can relive that. Driving so fast. I've never drove that fast in my life. My dad made fun of me one time for driving so slow. He called me the old woman from Cincinnati. He's like, why are you driving like the old woman from Cincinnati? I don't know who that is, but sorry, old woman from Cincinnati. But you got to speed up your driving pace there a bit. Yeah, that's the one for me.
Okay, that's a good one.
It is pretty cool. They're both related to our babies. Like, that really, that sticks with you.
My dad always says that too. My sister was born at home, not planned, and he gets that same look of like,
Oh, yeah.
like reliving the terror. You know, when you talk to him about it, that Austin gets on his face.
Oh, man.
Like, I will never do that again.
Oh, man. So, with our fourth child, I made her leave for the hospital way too soon.
Yeah.
So, the great pendulum swung. There's some other memorable stuff, but I think that's the most vivid. Jen wants to know oh, this is good. What is a memory that makes you laugh when you talk about it with each other?
Oh, man.
A memory that makes us laugh. I have some that we probably can't share. All right, hold on.
Oh, I should have thought about this one.
I'm gonna pause it. I think we're gonna have to come back to that one.
I've got
Jen, we
some
gotta think.
on the table for discussion.
Yeah, and I can think of a couple that I'm not able to share. A little too personal. Oh yeah, I can think of a lot of
Personal.
the jalapenos. Can't share that one. Let's go to another question.
Yes.
And maybe we'll come back to that one if we can think of one we're allowed to share on YouTube. Brenda wants to know. This is nice.
They're going to celebrate their 48th
48th.
wedding
Wow, that's
anniversary
awesome.
At the end of December.
The end of December.
Congratulations. That's a big one.
They had 4 children, 10 grandchildren, and 3 great-grandchildren. Awesome. Life has been full of surprises. There have been lots of twists and turns, but it's been a good life. Sounds like most good lives, right? Surprises, twists, and turns. Where do you see yourselves in 40 years? So this is so we can go on the record and then look back in 40 years and say, whoa, we were totally wrong. So 40 years puts us at what age?
70s.
We're in our 70s. Wow. That went fast.
Sobering.
Oh man. I hope to be somewhere. My grandparents, my grandma's like a world traveler.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I want to do some
jet
traveling
setter.
with you.
We wanted to travel before we had kids. We had big plans on traveling, and we never really got to, because we got started pretty early having kids, doing the big traveling we had planned. So I don't want to. Honestly, the funny thing is, I don't think we'll be doing homesteading like this.
When I'm in my 70s, I want to have some place where my kids come and my grandkids come, my great-grandkids come,
Yeah.
and they know they can always get cookies or cake. I want to just have like a cozy, warm little house for everybody to meet together there and share our stories, our family stories.
I love...
You'll have a dog.
If you've ever
I'll
watched
probably have a cat.
Parenthood, when we watched Parenthood, I always was jealous of that family dynamic. Because...
that big dinner scene at the end.
all the...
Yeah.
For one, I have one sister who I love. I wish I had more. I wish my parents had more. Because I look at that family, and I know it's a television family, but just more siblings to sit at a table and remember stuff and joke about, and just more family. So for us, like, we have lots of kids. I'd love it if my kids had a bunch of kids. I want to be, like Kay said, I want to be the grandparent with the house where people all come back and, like you said, telling stories. The outdoors is very important to me. So I picture like being the grandpa that, teaches everybody to shoot a gun and teaches everybody how to cast a fishing pole and, takes the little ones. I want to be the grandpa that like does the fun stuff, but then's like, okay, parents, you can change the diapers, like our dads. Yeah.
I feel like we'll have maybe a little something. Chickens, a
Yeah.
little something.
We're not going to be, I don't see myself being in my 70s and like dealing with dairy cows or pigs or anything. I think we're...
Hopefully the kids will be doing that.
For me,
just get
yeah.
their rewards.
Yeah. For me, it's all about just being outside. And, being able to like be active. So both sides of my grandparents are very active. My mom's side, those grandparents are super active. I'd like to be a very active, outdoorsy, active grandpa. Yeah.
All right.
It's in my 70s.
Okay.
Our parents aren't there yet.
No.
So that's... No, I'm trying to like place it. I'm trying to picture 70s. Is that good? We covered it?
Please.
All right. So I made a whole video about the 3 things marriage taught me.
I'm not going to give you time to think about this.
We can come back. You can sit on this one and
Okay.
save it for the end. Bernice and Bernie. I don't know if it was Bernice or Bernie who asked it.
But that's cool.
Yes. What are some of the things Kay feels you've taught her or helped her to discover about herself? Do you want time to think about it?
No, I think I got a few.
Ooh, nice.
I got a lot. He's taught me so much. Austin has taught me not to take myself so seriously. And to be flexible and adjust when things change. And when things don't work out exactly the way I thought they would. Those are probably the 2 big ones.
When you marry this guy, you definitely can't take yourself seriously.
Yeah, and that's been really valuable as a person to just be happy with who I am. He's always been so confident and happy with who he is, and I think that's rubbed off a little on me. So, whether I'm in sweatpants or dressed up or I have makeup on or not, I'm comfortable with who I am. One, because my husband always loves me and tells me how beautiful I am, but also because he's just got that just pride of who he is and what he does, and I think that's rubbed off on me too.
Pretty good. I like that.
And I just thought of it like that. Huh?
That's good. Yeah. Look at you.
No preparation.
Yeah. Maybe helped you with that too a little bit. I know you think this is a hard one. This is a hard one. Tony has a hard question. She is single. She wants to know, how should a homesteader or aspiring homesteader find a homesteady mate? Right? Mm-hmm. Essentially, she really wants to do homestead stuff. How can she find someone with the same goals in common? And I guess she's not looking for like a mate, just like a community. helping other lonely homesteaders.
So it's like farmers only a little bit.
She wants to start a chat live stream website for this purpose so people can actually meet and get to know each other. Maybe we could actually all be family.
So not just for single people, but all sorts of people.
Yeah, to find, 'cause I think Tony's looking for a homesteady community. So this is a really hard one, Tony, as far as like where to find the right mate or where to find a good community to support your interests. I think when it comes to things like homesteading, there is some things you can get from the internet, and I think there's some things that you can't. As social media has shown us, or at least how we feel about it, and I say we, I think we feel similar about this. Social media can unite you on a base level of common interest. At times it can be inspiring, it definitely can be educational, but I think rarely does it actually provide It rare but not never does it actually provide a real community.
It can be a launch pad for maybe some relationships that come from, like a forum or a Facebook page.
Right. I think with the internet, it's just too easy to too quickly find areas of disagreement, discord. If you look on any shared interest website, usually most of the time it's people fighting. Like you'll have a website about flyfishersonly.com and there'll be mostly
there's
the
always
forum
something
is
to disagree with,
people
right, with
arguing
somebody.
about like, is spay casting technically fly fishing or not? And it just gets to be internet like, ugh.
Yeah, there's some exceptions.
Like Family Cow Forum, right?
Yes,
You
but
have
there will
found to be
always,
really
there
valuable.
will be some people on there who are a little more confrontational.
Right. So I think ultimately, if you're looking for community,
Maybe start locally.
yeah,
We were able to find in where we lived before, just local farmers in the area who we would either purchase things from or just would go visit them at their farms, learned about what they were doing, met them at the farmers market, and struck up conversations. We became really close friends with some of them.
yeah. Like look at John, right?
Yes, because
Sussy,
I feel like that it's such a common interest, and it's not. It's such a specific common interest, and it's not very common.
Yeah.
In some areas.
And I think what you get. So this is a good example. I met John Siskovich. I knew about him because of internet first. So John Siskovich, Growing Farms podcast, Farm Marketing Solutions on YouTube. Go check out Johnny. A lot of you have seen him in our videos from time to time. I knew about him because of the internet. So the internet's not a bad place to start something. I first listened to his podcast. One day listening to his podcast, I heard him talk about his hometown of New Milford, Connecticut. And I slammed on the brakes of my car and looked around like, is he watching me? Because I didn't know he lived in the same town as me and was doing the same things as me. He was doing pastured poultry. He was doing pastured pigs. He was getting into slow food and podcasting about it and then starting a YouTube channel. And we often would joke that he was like, we were doppelgangers doing the same thing in the same place. And to be honest, when I heard that, I viewed him as competition at first because I was like, this guy's selling pastured poultry. I'm trying to sell pastured poultry. Like, how many pastured poultry guys can be in the same town? But I bumped into him at Tractor Supply, and it was this kind of awkward, are you John Siskovich? Yeah. I live in town. I listen to your podcast. I also sell chickens.
And have a podcast.
And I'm not as good as you at selling chickens or podcasting. You want to do an interview on my bad podcast? And so from that online world where we could have kind of stayed like competition, we got to know each other offline. First with work, just, getting together. We did a couple interviews and we did a couple videos together. Then he wound up building this farm where they're doing beer and wine and spirits.
Now we really like John.
Not wine, sorry,
No.
Beer, spirits. At the same time, we got out of a lot of the business side of the farming thing.
And the state.
And we also got out of the state. But even before that, we just became buddies, and I feel like over time now we have become like good friends now to the point where he actually visited us in Pennsylvania. He was out visiting family and he came to see our farm here, and we have really good conversations together where we help each other through tough stuff. We have gone through a lot of similar...
a little closer so I can read it.
Sure. We've gone through a lot of similar life challenges and struggles, things that don't have anything to do with farming. And that's, I think, where this community becomes more than like an internet forum about homesteading. A real community, I think, touches on more than one touch point where, sure, you're both interested in chickens, but you're also both dads. And maybe today we're not talking about chickens. Maybe we're talking about like trying to be a good dad and balancing our work and our life. And me and John have had good conversations about like, how do you balance work life? How do you be close with your kids and also produce content daily? And I think so, taking it offline and really getting to know a person, and that way you have fewer contacts than you might on Facebook, but they're people that you can actually influence life.
And then that puts you in contact with other farmers, other homesteaders, maybe single ones. Maybe something can develop from that. Just the more people you know in real life, the more chances. You find these real connections.
I don't think your internet connections...
Well, you mentioned already, you probably don't know by now, but dating sites really suck.
That's what Tony said. Yeah, and I think there's a reason. I think it's hard. Now, there's your rare instances where it works. I don't know the statistics. But forming real, tangible, close face eye contact community takes a long time. I can vouch for the fact that moving, I've lost a lot of that. Fortunately, she had some of it here already. We've had it with family. But already, like, mentors are huge, right? And your different interests. So just, develop that. Good?
Yeah, I think we...
Any more to add to that? I talked a lot on that one.
You sure did.
Allentown gal wants to know, did Kay move away from her family to live in CT?
Every time I read your name, I sing the Billy Joel song a little bit. I did move away from my family to live in Connecticut. I had a friend who was moving up there to be closer to her brother. And I kind of wanted to move. I was ready to see another part of the world. So Connecticut it was. And I had lived there for... I was there for 14 years, married there for 10. So I was there for 4 years before I knew Austin. I was there for a while single. And then I met him, and we lived there for the 10 years of our married life until this year.
Yeah, I didn't make her move to Connecticut. She was there.
I was there already.
Yeah, for years. I like this one. 10 years. So Tessie wants to know where we see ourselves in 10 years. As opposed to 40 years.
That's it, yeah.
10 years is like our kids are still at home. Even our oldest would still be at home.
I see us here with maybe the same amount of farm stuff that we're doing now. Once the kids are in their teen years, I'd like to start doing a little bit of traveling with them. So we may just time it so we can get out of the country every once in a while.
Focus more on meat animals, and that way you can have a winter off and go travel instead of dairy traveling. By
that point, I know we'll have to be flexible if we're caring for parents or anything like that. But I would like the kids to see some different parts of the world, and I want to do it together. I never got to do that with my parents, traveling, to Europe or anything with my parents. So I'd like to do that with the kids.
I do think traveling has a lot of value to a young person. Opens your eyes, expands your horizons, helps you see that not everybody lives the same way you do. And while we'll still do homesteading stuff, we'll have to adapt what we're doing so that it fits, so that we can go away a little bit. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Amanda wants to know, who says I'm sorry first after a disagreement?
Who says I'm sorry, period?
I say sorry sometimes. If I've been wrong.
If she feels it's necessary.
But
whether or not I feel it's necessary.
I'll apologize if I've snapped at him or if I've...
After I've apologized.
No, that's not true.
That is true.
No, I just apologized the other day. Remember, I said I was sorry I was mean to you.
Okay.
So, yeah, but most of the time it's Austin.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And it's probably because if we're disagreeing, I'm usually being, my mood is being affected by pregnancy, rearing young children, or any other hormonal reasons. So I think he's realized to just like, we're usually very agreeable. I'm usually a very agreeable person. So if we're really like arguing about something,
yeah,
I think he realizes like there's something else behind this. I'm just gonna apologize and then we can move on.
It's newer. This is a newer thing. I've learned in the last 2 years, 1 year. The last kid really taught me this. Yeah, we usually get along great. I'm very rarely the mad one. Usually, that's why I'm saying I'm sorry more, because usually she's the one who's mad about something, and usually it's influenced by something other than, if it were just us two doing our thing, we'd probably be fine. Our first year of marriage, we fought hardly at all, ever. It wasn't until you throw in like pregnancy and children and all the other stuff, and then it was like, But yeah, Fiona wants to know, do we discuss everything, or do you have things you do on your own?
To be honest, we discuss most things simply because we talk to each other a lot. Like, we're home all the time together. So the littlest things we have the chance to talk to each other about. Pretty much everything.
And I also think we really value each other's opinion on almost everything.
Yeah, Austin, like we were talking about, doesn't like to make a decision without talking about every possible action or consequence from that decision. And I've kind of gotten into the habit too, where I just like to know what he thinks about stuff.
It's really helpful, I think, when you find a marriage mate that you really, when you're fortunate enough to have one whose opinion you value more than most people's about almost everything.
And to have that similarity in how we make decisions.
A good example, I'll ask her where I should hunt in the morning. Where do you think I should hunt tomorrow?
And I don't care.
She doesn't care. But usually she'll take 5 seconds to think, all right, where's he been? You should probably go here. Sometimes I'll take her advice, other times I won't. But it helps. It just helps to have that sounding board.
Yeah. Are there things we just decide on our own?
But I don't there's no you have to, a lot of things we're capable, like for example, right now you're picking pediatricians and you're signing us up for
like dentists. Everything we have to change now.
And unless you want my opinion, I'm not like, hey, you better check with me first before you go pick a pediatrician. And I've gotten better at, once she makes that decision, if I wasn't needed to be involved in it, I also can just say nice things about it. So be like, why'd you pick this guy? You'd be like, oh, that was good.
Just support.
Yeah. So we mentioned before brain surgery. Kai wanted to know, how do we discover Kay's epilepsy and how K?
Is it what?
K-E-I.
Maybe K.
K?
Key, maybe.
Key.
Yeah. It's cool.
Very cool
Whatever
name.
it is.
Let us know how you pronounce it phonetically. So how did we discover that you had epilepsy, and how was that journey? So glad she's better. So we mention this very rarely. We talk about it on the channel because now in our life it doesn't play much of a part, at all. But early on, I was coming to Pennsylvania to meet her parents.
First time ever.
Very first time.
The first hour he was here.
The first hour I was here, we went to a very awkward family dinner.
And I had a seizure, which kind of lightened the mood.
Yeah, definitely made things less
it's
centered around me.
Yeah. I was transported to the local hospital, and they had discovered I had a cluster of blood vessels that had burst and it had hemorrhaged. So I was having bleeding on the brain, which was causing the seizures. Within that week, we had transferred to a hospital in Pittsburgh, and I had surgery to remove it. Low invasive surgery that left, I would say, long-term, no side effects. So we were very fortunate.
It was one of those early signs of, wow, this isn't scaring me away. The doctor said before the surgery she may lose the ability to speak because of where it was located. That didn't scare me away.
Yeah, I think you liked that part, actually.
bummed. Hi, babe. Oh, no. I think how was that journey? It was a very real dose. It kind of made our dating not this like high school thing, because we were both young. It could have been very like, oh, he likes me, we go dancing, and then it like threw us into a real thing, which I think long term was very good for us. It made us very close, very strong bond.
You were 20, I was 23.
I kind of was her strength through a lot of that. Her parents were there, but we were dating, and I was the one, sitting next to her through a lot of the discussions.
I think definitely fast forwarded emotionally us, within 1 week we had gone from, let me introduce you to my parents, to, all right, I might not make it through this surgery, and how quickly emotionally that fast forwarded those developments. Your bond gets incredibly stronger, and if it wasn't the right person, that almost would have been bad, because coming out of that, it was not like, okay, so where do you see yourself in 5 years? It was like we were connected by this traumatic experience. Fortunately, we had already been attracted to each other because we were the right people. For a year, we'd already
known each other for a year, and taken a long time to get to the point where I was meeting her family. So it was better that happened then and not 6 months earlier. Mm-hmm. And honestly, I don't know that we'd be married if it weren't for that experience, because I kept coming back to, even though I wasn't sure I was ready to get married, I had this incredibly strong bond after that with you that I just couldn't see walking away from that, because I wasn't ready to get married and then like expecting to find that elsewhere. So
it didn't completely resolve any seizure activity. That was in 2007. After we were married, I had a seizure.
Yeah.
And then after the birth of our son, our firstborn, a few days after I had him, I also had a seizure too.
And that was it.
And that was the last
it's been
issue we've had from that.
8 years plus that there's been no seizure. And I think looking back, coming through it on the other side, I think it was, for our relationship, it was not a bad thing, which is something I think a good lesson in life. Sometimes very scary, hard situations, if you all come out the other side of them mostly unscathed, they can turn into a good thing, right?
Yeah.
Sure, it'd be nice if it hadn't happened.
But we were fortunate in that there were really no long-term repercussions.
No long-term repercussions. And so now we've just grown. We were closer. We wound up getting married, which is the best thing ever. And yeah, there's nothing been long-term. So.
Except your love for me.
Except for my love. That's terminal, baby. Kim wants to know, 10 years ago, what was your plans for work? Did one of you want to homestead and the other didn't want to homestead? So plans, I worked 10 years ago with my dad. My thought was that I was going to kind of take over that family business and run that. We did not see ourselves homesteading at all.
Yeah, I wanted a couple of chickens, so we got a few chickens.
Actually, 10 years ago, that wasn't even our plan. Like, just married, we were going to just travel.
And work part-time.
Work part-time and see the world.
After we had our son.
We were going to travel. We were going to work part-time.
So after we were married a year, we got pregnant, and the plan changed to him working full-time with his dad.
Yep, taking over that business.
Inheriting the business. When we got pregnant with our daughter, we moved out to the country, got a chicken coop.
I didn't have any desire to homestead.
Had some chickens.
I liked hunting and fishing. I liked the outdoors.
Yeah, but that it snowballed, and you kind of wanted to do pigs. We just kind of got more and more stuff, and then we started podcasting about it.
It was very accidental, gradual.
And it was fortunate that we both kind of were going down that same path.
I think ultimately we both liked being outside. We both liked animals, the outdoors, and it just was a natural progression.
And eating them.
We still don't agree on all homesteading, what we enjoy homesteading. Like, that's still different for us. But it works. We're very compatible with our homestead.
Yawning so much.
kind of piggybacking on that Key, I'm going to say Key this time. One of these times we'll get it right. Who was the most eager to start the farming? So the homesteading was one thing, and then we started the farm business, which that was all me.
That was you.
I wanted to take the hobby
and make it a business.
Turn it into a business.
And
I'm always the one thinking about the business.
The goal was that the farm was going to be your primary
when we
source
started,
of income.
It was like, let's become farmers. And a year of that was like, maybe not. Maybe 2 years of that. I tried for a couple of years to grow that farm business. And year after year, seeing how much work was involved for so little, and how all the farmers around me who were successful and at least had inherited the farm, we realized
and we're still struggling.
And we're still not really making money.
No.
We realized starting a farm from scratch is an uphill battle. Let's just keep homesteading and not worry about making a business out of it.
But we actually did have a farm business.
Yeah,
until we're still operating
for
under
8
the farm
years.
business right now.
Yeah, I mean 8 years we ran a farm business. It was a profitable farm business.
It paid for itself.
In that way, that's how it's profitable. It paid for its own costs. Now, here we're not really interested in a farm business.
No, not yet, but
we'll see. Our kids will be.
Yes.
I like this question. Marriage is not bliss.
No.
I love being married. I would never change. But you have ups and you have downs, like all things in life. And Dolly asks, what is the hardest point in your marriage? What got you through it?
Because like we said, our first year was great.
Yeah, our first year was great.
Even after we had kids, it wasn't the kids who brought the most stress into the marriage, to be honest. It was realizing that as a couple, we needed to separate ourselves from our families and how influenced we were by their opinions and their thoughts about what we should do, and become our own bonded union.
I wonder if this isn't a harder thing for more people our age. When you look through history at the parent and child relationships as a general theme, again, there's outliers in every generation, but when you look at how parents from this decade were and this decade were, and it got, our great-grandparents and our grandparents did not have this lovey, super close thing. Our grandparents, our parents seemed to have, at least on my side, it was a nice relationship on some sides.
You're saying you feel like parents are becoming closer to their kids.
Yes, on like an emotional friend level.
It's harder for the children to separate from their family of origin.
My mom wanted to move out and not listen to her parents.
I feel like it's such an individual thing.
Yeah,
and
sure.
There's a reason that throughout decades and decades there have been the in-law jokes, right?
True.
The father-in-law, the son-in-law, the mother-in-law,
Yeah.
the daughter-in-law. There's always that
pressure,
yes.
The in-laws.
Of living up to the other person's family.
And I think for a successful marriage, and this was the hardest thing we've come across, I think, in our entire relationship, was learning when you get married, you are the unit. You are no longer the unit with your parents or she with her parents. You still love your parents. You want to honor your parents, but you do not consider them before each other. Mm-hmm. If you're more worried about what your mom's going to think or what your dad's going to think than what your mate's going to think,
that's a problem. And it happened with us.
It took a long time. It took a real long time to really get to where this unit took first place.
Yeah, probably 8 years.
What helped us get through it? Understanding that we're not perfect when we get married and we're never going to be.
And that we're not bad people, because the tendency is to think you want to do what your family says, you love them more, you don't love me. That's not what it is. It's a hard bond to change.
Yeah. You're breaking that one and forging a new one. And it can take time, but it's very important. And if you're watching, I feel like if this is an issue in your relationship, I'm saying this as the one who had probably a harder time with that. If you need to make that change. You need to look at your mate as the first, most important one.
His opinion matters the most to you. Victoria says, you're sweet and genuine. There's no one on the internet like you. There's no one in the world like him.
Aw.
I am very fortunate. And she's been with her husband for 41 years.
Wow.
So congratulations to you guys. That's a long time. So she asks us, we've met your father, both of our dads.
Yeah.
When are we going to meet your moms? I can speak for my mother. Probably never, if she has her way. She does not want to be on video.
If she hears the drone flying,
She like hides.
or like if she sees me holding the camera, she and like runs.
And we're all living on the property together.
Oh.
But no, she has no interest on being on the
So
channel.
you will probably never meet Kay's mom.
My mom.
She's a wonderful person, but she is not interested in being on YouTube.
And that's where I get it from.
My mom, when will you meet my mom?
Maybe soon.
Maybe soon, actually. My parents will be visiting soon. The thing with my parents, when they come to visit, now that we're here especially, I kind of just want to enjoy the time with them. And when you make a video, it interrupts that. However...
there may be some things you do that you video.
Yeah, next we have a trip. They're going to be visiting soon, and there's a couple things planned that would be really fun to have on video that I might. So you might meet my mom soon, and all the super fans of my dad will get to see my dad soon, probably too. So my parents are a little bit more okay with the idea of being on.
And that's where
videos.
he gets it from.
Yeah. Her parents
I guess
not
that's
as
how we
much interest.
take after our family.
Yeah.
So, origin story.
Babs wants to know the origin story. How did we meet and what drew us together?
It was the same friend who I moved to Connecticut with. She is a singer. So she sings, records albums. And she was recording one for her parents' anniversary. She knew of a local guy who had a recording studio.
Was always into audio video.
And I played the piano. She wanted to have me play the piano. And she was kind of raving about this guy at the studio, how cute he was, and such a nice guy. I was zero interested. Zero. And I wore my...
She dressed as down as she could possibly dress.
Yeah, I had my ball cap on.
No
My
makeup,
baggy
ball
pants.
cap, sweatpants.
I was not looking.
You was not.
But we like clicked. So
Not
quickly.
in the first moment.
No, I fell.
She was carrying this big heavy electric piano down the staircase. I didn't even know I would have offered to carry it. I didn't even know this was happening. All of a sudden I hear dunk, 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 dunk. And I came around the corner and there's this cute girl at the foot of my stairs. Like of my studio was also my bedroom.
Keeping it classy.
And my parents' bedroom. And I just like find this cute girl laying at the foot of the steps and I was just like, I just laughed at her. And I kept walking.
I was like, oh, nice guy.
What a jerk.
But we
By the end of the night, we clicked.
yeah, we had a really nice time recording music together.
We made beautiful music together, I told you. Real music. You can listen to the tapes.
Oh boy.
They're out there somewhere.
Yes, they are.
Both of us on them a little bit.
Yeah.
And that moment on, we both were in each other's brains as, not right away as like, that's the person I want.
But it's like,
What about that person?
yeah, a possibility.
These people, and then that person kept showing back. So for me, it was like, I was interested in another girl, and then I kept comparing her to, boy, that Kendra, she was different than this girl. This girl, that Kendra. And it just kept like, couldn't get it out of there. Still can't.
Yeah, try it.
I
got this.
You talked about what you've learned from me, but this
Gotcha.
question, the Freedom Project, is what do you most value about me?
Are these your fans? Want to know all the good stuff about you? This is what attracted me to Austin quickly, very quickly, was he was very genuine. And he's always been genuine. He's never trying to put on a show for anybody. Like, he's never different than he actually is as a person just to impress anybody. So he'll be goofy and he'll make dumb jokes and he doesn't care.
Austin's Cheesery.
Yeah, he doesn't care. He's just comfortable with who he is. Plus, he never puts other people down. Like, he doesn't try to make himself look better than anybody else by like degrading anybody or mocking them. He's always been very kind, very helpful, a very genuine person.
Hey, Mommy.
Except for when I laughed at that one girl who fell down my stairs.
Hey, Mommy.
What?
Sorry.
No.
Kathy wants to know, how did you decide how chores would be done when you first got married? Has this changed? I bring this up because a lot of tension can come from expectations. So that's definitely true. And in our day and age, there's no real, like, the man does this and the woman does that.
No, it's so different now.
So how did we decide? We did take on
Very
more traditional, conventional roles, not because of our, I don't know.
You know, I suppose because you had the steadier job, right? You were
Yeah.
working with your dad.
And the job with the future.
And he let you have, he was very flexible with your hours. So that was the job where we knew that would be bringing in most of what we were earning. So I kind of stepped in as I would work much more part-time and
then kind of run the house.
do the house stuff.
And then when we wound up having our first child, it became very much, we didn't want to both be working.
No.
We wanted one of us at home with our kids. And I had the job with the future and the better pay, so it just made logical sense. It wasn't like, well, the man's got to make the money and the woman's got to stay home.
No.
It was just, oh, I have a good future with this family business. You want to be with our children?
I wanted to stay home, and it was good that it worked out that he was the one who was earning more.
And I've always been very entrepreneurial, and you've not.
No.
I've wanted to have my own business, and whereas you
Support
are
my husband having his own business.
yeah, well, you're a master of this, like running
Running the house.
running this family.
Yeah, I wanted to stay at home with the kids.
And I've never viewed her as not having work. Sometimes people slip up and they say, "Oh, you don't work," and we just like kind of roll our eyes because now I work from home. I know how much she works running this house.
We always joke, and I say like you wouldn't last a day here because the monotony of some things would kill you, and some of the things you just hate doing. So.
Do we do anything that's kind of conventional? I'm not a good in the kitchen.
I'm not a good
in the kitchen. I'm a, like my dad and her dad, like I took on the role of a very, like, I will earn money.
Yeah,
and
I think you like that.
Not cooking, or not that I'm just not cooking because I'm not good at cooking.
No, if I need help, he's always willing to help.
I'm willing to help. Yeah, I'm not like that's women's work. It's just I am not good at cooking, but I've tried a couple times.
Stop.
I'm
Definitely
not good
one
at
of those
cooking.
things you have to figure out.
Yeah.
Not have those expectations that, just because you're home, you do everything, or you're the man, so you do those things.
Yeah, no, it was, good.
Yeah.
Joe wants to know any big or new changes in the future, new pets, livestock, children. Everybody wants to know more
Stop.
children.
Livestock, our daughter still's on the donkey kick.
I don't know. We've been kind of.
But the goats have helped her. So
Yeah.
we'll be having baby cows, baby goats. Our son's been interested in getting into quail. That may be something that we start getting into over the winter.
Yeah. So
And
keep watching.
probably, I would say possibly pigs the next spring and summer.
Which isn't really new. It's just bringing them back.
Yeah, we haven't
I'd like
had
to
them
bring
on the
just
channel
two
much.
back. Yeah, they haven't. Kathy, she wants to know, I love this question. What did each of you see in the other that sparked your initial attraction? It was not the way you dressed that first day that we met. That's for sure.
That's good because I didn't care.
Yeah, you didn't. I know easy with this one what attracted me. I used to go to a lot of dance parties. Yeah, and like salsa dance and swing dancing. And dancing with her, she was strong. She had control on the dance floor. And I was very attracted to that. She was a good dancer. She knew how to control that body. And I was very attracted. Initially, there was a lot of attraction there. On the dance floor.
All right, so I remember watching Austin for the first time play guitar and sing a song that he had written. And I was like, ooh, yes.
And this was at the same party. It was a dance party. We did some dancing. She was wearing this red dress and just working it. And then I, busted out the guitar and got a little deep. Yeah.
Young. Youth.
Brian wants to know, what did I get my honey for our anniversary?
10 years, that's a big one.
What did I get you?
We got each other a family vacation.
Yeah, that vacation we went on a month ago was our
anniversary gift.
Trip. In addition, I always get a card. I got flowers.
Yep.
But for gift this year, we agreed we wanted to do a family event.
Yeah.
And so we did a big family trip.
Yeah, we went to the beach.
The biggest trip we've ever gone on with our family.
Just, us and the kids, so that was cool. And they're already asking when we can go on another one.
Ingrates.
Insatiable.
We're still thinking about the funny things that have happened.
I am laughing at a story.
Oh man, there's so many. But they're either like, not gonna talk about on YouTube, or they're like gross, getting sick. Like any funny...
So we got the stomach flu last year. Wait, I forgot where I was looking. So we got the stomach flu last year, all of us, one by one. Like when your first kid starts and you think, maybe they ate something that didn't agree with them.
Maybe they were spinning around in a circle.
And the next one is throwing up, and the next one, and you're starting to feel your stomach, and you're like, oh no, it's me next. I had never, ever seen Austin throw up. Ever.
Our
an entire time together.
I had not.
It had been, like he always says, he hates.
Battery died, sorry.
Okay, so Austin always says he hates throwing up.
Oh yeah.
Which, of course, everybody hates throwing
but
up. But nobody likes
hate
it. So the last time he had gotten sick was in Suriname when you were like 17.
Yes, I have not thrown up since I was 17 years old. And I am in my 30s. I hate throwing. I felt like I wanted to, but I will not.
So last year we're all coming down with this stomach bug, and he starts, Okay.
Oh, so bright.
So he starts coming down with that stomach bug, and he's like, no. And then he's like, people always say you feel better once you throw up. He goes to the bathroom, and all of a sudden we hear him. And it's like the kids.
Never in our marriage has she heard this. I didn't even remember what I sounded like because it had been like 15 years.
Like.
It was an exorcism.
The kids and
the demons came out.
I was so sick, and the kids were just gotten over being sick, and we're laying out in the living room laughing so hard.
And I could hear them in between the great
purge.
Daddy's puking. Daddy sounds like Goompy.
Yeah, it was so funny to this day.
Oh, they still love that story.
I see it.
So that's one we can share that still makes us laugh. Remember when? The very last question for our marriage edition, 10-year wedding. I made a special video on Thursday. You didn't know I was making it. I snuck it in behind your back.
Yes.
To talk about what I had learned from 10 years of marriage to you.
The 3 things.
The 3 things I had learned. And I talked at the end of the video about how you're a more private person than me. Not always wanting to put your personal stuff out there on the internet for the world to see.
This sometimes gets misinterpreted on some of our videos where it looks like Austin's like pushing me out of the video, he's doing all the talking, or he's telling me what to say. When simply what it comes down to is I'm an introvert. I would rather Austin do most of the talking. If he wants to tell me what to say in something, it's fine. I don't care.
Because usually you don't really want to be there.
No, and I don't have much of an opinion. If it was something I really have an opinion about, I'll
anytime it's a question about your cows, I'm not allowed to answer those.
Make it known.
Yes.
So that was why people were asking, like, how did I like the video? I'm a private, introverted person. This is a video.
Declaration.
Yeah. And 5 years ago, I probably wouldn't have. He actually showed it to me before he published it.
Yeah.
Just to check.
Which is why it was late that day. The video came out late because I wanted to make sure she was okay.
But because what making YouTube videos has allowed us to do now, it allows Austin to stay home with our family. It allows him to work alongside our kids, making videos with them, and it is a really nice documentation of our lives together. So I've come to appreciate that we can now make our living from doing YouTube videos. And I love the video. And he made me cry. And I love it because, you know, when the kids want to see it, 10 years from now, they'll have this snapshot, this moment in time of what our family was like then. And I think it's really cool to have those memories down forever.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons I love making these videos. Already we are creating this story of our family, and it's just from a little piece of it, but you still get to see this glimpse, and it goes fast. 10 years has flown by. It's been the best 10 years of my life, and it's going too quickly. So we're gonna shut this video down so we can enjoy some time together, and we'll see you in next week's videos.
Thank you for everyone who gave us our happy anniversary wishes.
Yeah, it was really nice. A couple people shared the same date. A lot of you out there have been married a lot longer than us, and we can't wait to get, well, we can wait to get there, but we look forward to that. So, all right, shutting it down.